Waging war on corruption. It's Alex Jones coming to you live from the front lines of the info war.
Imagine what's going to happen out on the West Coast if another big earthquake hits along these fault lines where they built nuclear power reactors and we get a new Fukushima-type situation. In fact, up on Infowars.com, we have some of the photos that have gone viral in Japan of mutated daisies. And we have mutated butterflies and record numbers of children just collapsing dead of heart failure. That's what happens with children and radiation. And their answer is just to say, oh, the radiation's safe, it's no problem. Why would they build 6 reactors on a fault line in a tsunami area and then say it was impossible for it to melt down, and then 5 of the 6 reactors got damaged, 3 of them completely blew up? Then they covered that up. I went and looked at the design of the MOX reactor, the big one that was plutonium and uranium that blew up, the second one to explode with a hydrogen explosion. And I went and looked at the design of it and blueprints that were online, and then I blew up the video. We put out articles back when it happened 4 years ago and said it appears that the entire reactor was shot hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of yards into the air. We even measured how high the communication towers were around there, and we can see it was 3 times higher. And I said, it looks like it may have ejected what appears to be fuel rods up to a mile away. 3 years after the New York Times published a report where the Japanese government admitted that fuel rods were ejected 1.5 miles away, and indeed it had blown completely up. It had achieved fission, a small atomic explosion, and had shot them further than I even thought. Now, I'm not bragging. It's just that the media knew what they were seeing. Physicists knew what they were seeing. Nuclear engineers knew what they were seeing. I had nuclear and chemical engineers on saying basically the same thing. But where is the survival instinct of the species to not even care about this? Now there's triple the radiation in the northern hemisphere than there is in the southern hemisphere. What's going on? Why is there a death wish by the elite? Because if they don't care about little babies or veterans, they don't care about themselves. That's why I was haunted yesterday and last night and currently by the video of the Planned Parenthood National Council director, the head of their council, the head of their board, haggling over baby organs. And I think about the denial where 20 years ago on air, I would talk about China selling political dissidents organs when it was in the British news. And U.S. news would write articles saying I was lying. The State Department put out a report about 14 years ago dispelling conspiracy theories that there was an organ trade in China. The Chinese government advertises they sell political dissidents organs. It's in Japanese newspapers, public executions, where they then announce that minutes after they're killed, they have their organs taken. Now they have mobile execution vans, 14 per major city, where they keep you alive and do a vivisection, removing your heart finally and sucking your blood out so they can take each organ properly on the runway, pack them in ice, and fly them out. People say, why are you covering this macabre? Because I couldn't get people to admit it when it was in foreign news 18, 19, 20 years ago. How am I going to get people to admit they're putting cancer viruses in the vaccines and fluoride in the water? I mean, Harvard admits it's lowering our IQs over 10 points. They admit it's giving us bone cancer. Their own scientists aren't bad at the FDA. They say take it out, but the elites say no. But we've reached a breaking point where so many lawsuits have been filed, they're now cutting the amount of fluoride in the water by half. My point is, we're so close to beating these people, I can feel it. We've known for decades that Planned Parenthood sells baby parts. The problem is chopping them up. They have trouble keeping the organs, so they mainly sell them for blood product, for stem cell research, and for cosmetics, the collagen. But now we can force a debate about this. Now we can admit it's going on. Notice the first week this came out, they had a whole bunch of publications just say it wasn't real. Then, when it turned out it was real, MSNBC said, big deal. It's research. And now the videos are going to be released. They were smart with them talking about getting rid of the minorities and how they're a big problem. And you're going to see the real face of MSNBC and CNN. I predict they're going to ignore it no matter how bad it is because they can't face it. A vampire can't face high noon out in the town square. That's all I want to do is haul these people out of their pits where they want to hide. They want to creep out at night politically. They want to have their way with us in the dead of night. No, you're going to have it out in front of God and everybody. We're going to drag you out of your crypts right up in the middle of the town square, and everything you've been doing is going to be brought out in the open. Because you love hurting innocent people. You enjoy it. You're ghouls. All these allegories, all these legends have a basis in reality. The Greeks, 2,500 years ago in major cities, would have vampire hunting days. Look this up. And they would go out into the crypts, into the caves, into the areas, and it was mainly psychopathic, mentally ill people who would creep around at night and grab folks and drag them off and eat them. In major Greek cities, they had psychopaths that believed they were vampires that would do this, and people would go out and hunt them and kill them. Now these people run Planned Parenthood. And if you go out to an abortuary, and they know you're going to be there, people in black will arrive with totally white skin. If they're black, they look like vampires. They're totally light. And they just and they literally show up and start going, Satan, because that's who they are. And I know it sounds over the top, but I'm telling you, folks, I'm telling you, they're possessed demons. And people over at the White House run, publications. Go ahead and make your jokes all day. People know what I'm saying is true. Look at the Texas House. I talked about it yesterday. Last year, they're trying to pass a bill, or 2 years ago, the last session, they're back in session now, they were trying to ban partial birth abortion, but those are the prizes where they get all the organs, babies that could live. And just spontaneously, dozens of women started hissing, I love Satan, hail Satan, and sticking their tongues out and hissing like snakes. I don't know what's going on, folks, but I can't handle it anymore. These people literally crawl out from under rocks. They run and hide in trash cans right in front of you. Why are we ruled by a bunch of trash can-dwelling vampires? The one guy that grabbed my microphone and attacked me and all that literally had the whitest skin I've ever seen. Everybody said that guy looks like a ghoul, like a vampire, and he wasn't acting. He was bumping into people. It was like he wasn't even alive, and he was just had this satanic look in his eye. He was just going, Well, I mean, what do you expect to be attracted to a place where they're butchering babies while we were outside? Women were driving in to have their babies killed. So, of course, showing up to defend it is the demons. Don't you understand? It's not a game. I don't know whether it's interdimensional creatures, whether it's demons, whether it's some kind of mental illness, whatever, they're still a demon. Whatever it is, they got to be dealt with. And in ancient Greece, those folks would be hanging out in the caves and, I guess they had, I just can't even handle it anymore. He had like green skin. My dad calls those people glow-in-the-dark people. And I've seen this over and over again. Our enemies literally have green skin. I mean, they love death. They love their father. And so good, go have death. Go jump off a cliff. Don't hurt anybody else. Just get out of our way. We want to get off the planet. We want space bases. We want clean energy. We want to maintain human dignity. We want to maintain goodness. We want to be honorable. We don't like the devil. We don't want to be around you. I'm sorry, let's go to calls. Got Froggo in England and Chris in Georgia and Brandon and Christopher. Let's go to Froggo in England. I mean, I don't mean this show to turn into a complete preacher fest. I'm just so freaked out. I'm just telling you what's on my mind. Go ahead, Froggo. You're on the air.